The trial of Al Jazeera's detained journalists has resumed in Cairo. Mohammed Fahmy, Baha Mohammed and Peter Grester are all accused of providing a platform to the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. They've been behind bars now for 115 days. Abdullah al-Shami, the fourth Al Jazeera journalist in detention, has been held without trial since last August. Hashem Ahalbara reports.
Journalists for Al Jazeera appear in court for the sixth time. Correspondent Peter Grester, producers Mohammed Fahmy and Bahir Mohammed have been in jail for more than 3 months. They are falsely accused of spreading news and providing a platform for the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. During the last hearing, the prosecution produced video that it says supports the case against the man, but none of the videos have anything to do with the case. This video, for example, was a TV report by Grester from Kenya on the attack of the Westgate Mall last year. The court was also shown this report, an award-winning documentary on Somalia that Grester produced for the BBC before he joined Al Jazeera. But the judge ordered a special panel to review the material presented by the prosecution. Abdullah Shami, the fourth Al Jazeera journalist in detention, has been held in Egypt for more than 9 months and has been on hunger strike since January 21st. His detention was extended by 45 days on March the 13th. Shami has recently sent a letter from prison that expresses his feelings.
I have a responsibility on my shoulders. It is to complete documenting stories of people here as much as possible and stay steadfast. I ask God and hope to be home with my family before the 5th of May to celebrate my birthday.
His parents are concerned about his health.
I would like to remind journalists and rights activists that my son is on hunger strike, risking his life not only to press for his release, but also to defend journalists' freedom. He is fighting for a cause. He wants to stop the practice of intimidating, arresting, or killing journalists all over the world.
The trial of the Al Jazeera journalists has attracted global attention. Advocacy groups and various governments have all condemned the trial. Al Jazeera strongly rejects all the charges and continues to call for the immediate release of its team. Hashem Ahalbara, Al Jazeera.
We bring in now Zainab Sultan, who's a journalist with the Doha Center for Media Freedom. And media freedom, Zainab, is what we're talking about here. So many months behind bars, and yet while they've been in captivity, the campaign to get them freed is going from strength to strength. How do you rate it at the moment?
I think it's remarkable how the world has really gathered together in support of these journalists. I think this is something we've seen very unique in this case. I'm not saying it hasn't happened before, but maybe not at such a large scale. And I think, it's important to understand that these journalists were just doing their jobs in covering the events, what was happening in Egypt. And the center has, since their arrest, has been, urging for their release and just calling, just joining hands with all the international organizations, asking for the immediate release and dropping all the charges against them.
There are probably thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people worldwide who believe that they are being kept in prison unjustly for doing their jobs and expressing their views. And there may be people who look at us and think that we're using our position a little bit unfairly to promote this cause. So explain to them and to me why you think this has to matter for everybody.
I think, right now the situation, it's not just, the Middle East, there's been so much going on in the entire region, but more so if you even see the events in Ukraine, if you see what's happening in Algeria. What I want to really say is the center is not just concerned about what's happening in Egypt, but really, how it affects the journalists worldwide when it comes to reporting on elections, reporting on, political instability or any kind of, corruption or any of that sort of thing. So I think this case is kind of giving us that kind of face for people to understand that how journalists can face an immense amount of crackdown when they're just trying to report what's happening in their country.
And they are just trying to report what's happening, not necessarily in their country, but in countries that they visit. And the world is becoming a more dangerous place for journalists year by year, it appears.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we closely monitor, the cases. We've seen, Iraq has not really improved, for a long time now. And just last year, I believe, from our count, there were 16 journalists who were killed in Iraq. And the major chunk of the journalists were just killed in the last 3 months or 4 months of the year. So the safety situation is not really improving, you know, in the region, or even, like, let's say Afghanistan with the recent killings of the journalists there. So it's not the best, you know, time to be a journalist, but at the same time, it's really important to, you know, keep going and reporting the truth.
Let us concentrate lastly again on this particular case.
Sure.
How difficult is it to find out precisely what is happening and get a fair picture of what they are going through in terms of the prosecution and defense and the court proceedings themselves?
I think it's extremely difficult because from what I'm hearing, you know, just on Twitter and stuff, that there've been journalists who were kicked out of the court today. So I feel like not just even people from us, from our standpoint, like from an NGO like Doha Center, or even our partners, you know, we are right now, we're in partnership with Reporters Without Borders, with the Internews Safety Institute, trying really hard to lobby for the release of these journalists. And it's extremely difficult. I mean, all we can do is, I mean, just continue with the Free Al Jazeera staff campaign and just turn their heads, and hopefully, you know, we shall see them out by this World Press Freedom Day. That's what we're hoping.
Which is when, quickly?
Crossed. This World Press Freedom Day, I hope they are released by then.
Okay.
Fingers
Thank
crossed.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, also in Cairo, a criminal court has postponed the trial of the deposed President Mohammed Morsi and 35 other Muslim Brotherhood leaders. They're charged with revealing national security secrets to foreign organisations, also accused of carrying out acts of violence by coordinating with armed groups. That trial has been adjourned until next week.